Why don't you just tell them a little bit about yourself?
So my name's Rylee. I'm a junior in high school at Andover. I'm technically a freshman at Butler Community College. I play volleyball, and I've been coming to youth for I think as long as I can, I could be. So yeah.
Yeah, cool. Why don't you start us off with telling us the clap? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I love it. I love the hype. Thanks for the hype. Why don't you just start us off by telling us a little bit about the story about when you gave your life to Christ?
Yeah, so when I was 8, I decided that I was ready to be baptized, but at the time they were doing these testimony videos, and they showed them up on the big screen in front of everyone, and so I was really scared about that and answering the questions wrong. So I decided to wait until I was 12, and I just decided that I didn't care anymore. My relationship with God was more important than some video, and so I decided, and I called my dad, and he came over, and my mom and stepdad and dad sat down with me, and I said the prayer of salvation, and then I got baptized a couple months later.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Don't let anything hold you back from doing that. So take us back and just let us know a little bit about what you were like before this kind of moment that happened in your life last year.
Yeah. So after I got baptized, I was kind of just sitting in this place of, oh, I got baptized, but I wasn't doing anything with my faith. I wasn't active in my faith. And so it was really easy for me to just sway farther away from God and the things that were going to build me up instead of tear me down. And so I just was really not as happy as I could have been, and I wasn't as close with God as I should have been.
Yeah. What kind of your friendships look like the last few years?
So I've had the same friends since kindergarten, and so we were really close, but as I started growing closer to God, I noticed the things that they did that I disagreed with or that made me uncomfortable. And I just started to see how, I don't know, they didn't love me the way that they should have, or they didn't treat me the way that they should have.
Yeah.
And they just weren't really healthy friendships. So, yeah.
Awesome. And describe kind of the moment when God started kind of shaping some different relationships in your life.
Probably the mission trip was a big thing. I've been friends with Hannah for, I don't know, since sixth grade. Yeah. So I'd always had her, but I hadn't had a community of people. And so I was really shy and just in my shell. And then the mission trip is when I really became friends with Lily. And then that just being in that close space with everyone for the week just really grew everyone's relationship with each other, and just made so many friendships out of that.
Yeah. So what changed in your life? What did you start changing in your life after that moment?
I started changing who I hung out with more, and I started prioritizing my godly friends over my ungodly friends. And I noticed my prayer life changed and how much easier it was for me to pray. And I still struggle with reading the Bible, but
yeah,
that's a whole other thing. But I just noticed how much more I desired to be with my godly friends and to spend time with God Himself.
Yeah. What was the difference? What's the difference hanging out with your godly friends and then hanging out with friends from school that you grew up that don't know Jesus?
I think the biggest thing that's different is just the conversations we have. It's not that we're constantly just talking about Jesus or oh, I read this today in the Bible.
Yeah.
It's just genuine conversation, and they genuinely care what you're telling them about yourself or your day, and they just want to hear it. But my ungodly friends don't really care. So
yeah, that's good. I'm sure that it was kind of a tough transition when you started hanging out with your friends that you've been friends with since kindergarten less, and then other people more. What was that kind of like, that transition?
Yeah, I mean, it was hard, and I definitely felt sort of guilty, I guess I could say, for it, just because I felt like I was hurting my friends, my school friends, because I would decide not to hang out with them, and then they'd be upset. But I knew I had to do what God wanted me to do, and that was to surround myself with people that would lift me up. And so it was hard, and it gets lonely, but
lonely. Describe some of the loneliness being at school, I guess.
Like just being at school and like they're there, but like I don't know. Like I don't stop to talk to them in the hallway. I stop to talk to like Cora and Leah and Adeline, and just like walking through the halls and like seeing the people that I was like really close with, and it's just like weird because we're just, I don't know. It feels like a surreal experience, kind of.
Yeah. You mentioned this a little bit, but since you started being more intentional with your friends and the Christian community, what spiritual habits have changed in your life?
Definitely my prayer life. Like I used to never know how to pray because I felt like it was this like big, like, I don't know, like formal conversation. And you walked through these words and you said these words and stuff, but it's more of just a conversation now. Like it's not this formal encounter, but it's just a genuine like father-daughter conversation.
That's cool.
And I think the thing that makes that easier is like having those conversations with my friends of just like receiving that genuine care about like what I'm saying helps me like kind of grasp the idea that he actually cares about the little things too.
Even encouraging you that, he does care. He cares about that. It's okay to be worried about that. Or that. That's really cool. Since maybe even when you were little until now, who have been some kind of important people or influential people that encouraged you in your walk?
Definitely my mom. Just like seeing around the time that I got saved, she was starting to like really dive into her faith and getting strong in that, and just seeing how much she's grown and how much like knowledge and stuff she has, and like her relationship with God just definitely like pushed me to like want that for myself. And then probably just like my friends here and like the youth group, just being there, like just being themselves. Yeah.
That's really cool. That's awesome. What encouragement might you give any other students or anybody else that maybe God is encouraging them or kind of making them feel like they need to make some changes in their community? And what was encouragement would you give to them?
I think if you feel like your community is not building you up and not bringing you closer to God, just to like pray about it and seek some discernment in that situation, and just try to figure out what he's telling you to do with those friendships. And then I know it can be hard, but finding your godly group and just really latching onto them and joining them, and just prioritizing them over ungodly friendships makes it so much easier, having someone else to turn to.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing your testimony, and incredible to hear how God's working in your life in this season. And so it's inspiring. Would you mind, before we get off to our next thing, would you just pray a prayer for these other students?
Dear Jesus, I just lift up this youth group tonight, and I just ask that you lay your hand on each one of these students, and just that you let them know what your plan is for their friendships. And if they're struggling with something, just let them know that you're there and you have them in all situations. Amen.
Amen. All right, everyone give Rylee a hand.